While I'm preparing this delicious Korean street food today, I want to share a real-life story with you. It's a story that might surprise you, and I promise it will make you think. The glint of the knife caught the moonlight as it was carefully slid into the janitor's closet, hidden among mops and detergent bottles. Blood smeared across Clarissa Walker's cleaning gloves, and with trembling hands, she ripped the nameplate off the CEO's door. Blood spilled down her arm as she straightened up. She thought, shit, that might have faithful. Gollum. You think you're untouchable, she whispered, her voice low and menacing. Clarissa, 52, a widowed mother of two, had spent the last 30 years of her life working as a cleaning lady at Bram Enterprises, a billion-dollar tech company headquartered in Manhattan. Her job was thankless, invisible, acknowledged only when someone needed their mess cleaned up. But that all changed on the night of the Christmas party. The room was filled with the stench of alcohol and arrogance as executives leaned back in plush chairs, laughing. Clarissa had been ordered to stay late and clean up after the party. She silently moved through the glittering hall with her mop and bucket, scrubbing away spilled champagne and crushed hors d'oeuvres. I didn't pay you for it. Hey, Clarissa, you missed a spot, someone yelled, tossing a shrimp tail at her feet. It was Todd Williams, the smug VP of marketing. The room erupted in laughter as Clarissa bent down to pick up the shrimp tail. Careful, Todd, another voice chimed in. It was Sarah, the CEO's sharp-tongued assistant. She might take your job next. The laughter grew louder, crueler. Clarissa's jaw clenched, but she didn't respond. Years of practice had taught her to keep her head down and absorb the insults. But this time, something was different. As the laughter died down, Clarissa caught sight of someone in the corner of the room. Nathan Graham, the CEO himself, standing in the shadows, watching her intently. His face was pale, his hands trembling slightly. When their eyes met, Nathan quickly turned and left the room. I'm sorry, but I thought it was just the two of you. Billingsley nodded and then wrinkled his nose and made a ha sound. Nathan walked out, and no one gave him a chance to join in. Something about his reaction stuck with Clarissa. In the following weeks, strange things started happening at Bram Enterprises. Late at night, Clarissa would find files scattered across Nathan's desk, folders marked confidential. Whispers of embezzlement, fraud, and something far darker filled the air. Todd Williams seemed nervous, his once cocky demeanor replaced by paranoia. Sarah, too, had grown cold and distant. But the biggest change was Nathan himself. Once untouchable, he now appeared distracted, even frightened. One evening, Clarissa found Nathan in his office, staring at a photo of his family. When he noticed her, he quickly shoved the photo into his desk drawer. "I need you to clean something," Nathan said, his voice trembling. Clarissa nodded, but something in his tone sent a shiver down her spine. He wasn't talking about spilled coffee. In February 2025, the whispers turned into rumors, and the rumors became a full-blown scandal. A federal investigation was launched into Bram Enterprises, with Nathan Graham at the center of it. But before investigators could make their move, Nathan vanished. His office was cleared out overnight, and the staff was left in chaos. It was during this chaos that Clarissa saw her chance. She had access to everything. Every room, every drawer, every secret. And what she found was far more terrifying than she could have ever imagined. Behind Nathan's desk, hidden in a drawer, was a flash drive containing videos, emails, and photos that revealed the darkest corners of Bram Enterprises. Corruption, betrayal, and a secret so shocking it threatened to destroy not just the company, but lives. But Clarissa couldn't go to the authorities. Not yet. She needed to play her cards carefully. The phone buzzed in her pocket, displaying an unknown number. "You're in over your head, Clarissa. Leave it alone, or we'll clean up your mess next. The message burned into Clarissa's mind as she gripped her phone tightly. She sat alone in her modest Harlem apartment, the city lights blinking outside her window, but all she could see was the thread on her screen. Scalding Tot 2.0, Anna Moran, I am unable to find. Fear surged through her, but there was something stronger than fear: rage. Clarissa had always been a fighter, a survivor. When her husband died from cancer 10 years ago, she worked double shifts to keep her children, Caleb and Simone, in school. Now in their 20s, both were thriving. Caleb had just finished law school, and Simone was working as a nurse in Chicago. Clarissa had sacrificed everything to make that happen. Her hands were cracked and sore from decades of scrubbing floors and lifting trash bags. The mockery she endured at Bram Enterprises wasn't new, but this time, the stakes were different. The files on the flash drive revealed a horrifying conspiracy. Nathan Graham had been embezzling funds, funneling money into offshore accounts tied to a human trafficking ring. Emails detailed payouts to keep victims silent, and surveillance footage showed Bram executives meeting with shadowy figures in parking garages and luxury hotels. And then there was the photo. A young girl no older than 13, bruised and hollow-eyed, wearing a torn Bram employee badge. Clarissa recognized her instantly. Her name was Angelica, a cleaning assistant who had worked alongside Clarissa for a few weeks before mysteriously disappearing. Clarissa had always assumed Angelica had quit. Now, she knew the truth. Oh boy. Angelica's Angelica? Her stomach churned. She wanted to scream, cry, but there was no time. She couldn't afford to lose her focus now. The next day, as Clarissa walked into the office, she felt the weight of eyes on her. Todd Williams was watching her across the room, his expression unreadable. Sarah avoided contact altogether. The tension in the air was electric. Dangerous. Perez cleared his throat. That evening, her phone buzzed again. Meet me at the diner on 34th, midnight, come alone. The message was from an unknown number. Against her better judgment, Clarissa went. At the diner, a man in a hoodie slid into the booth across from her. His face was obscured by shadows. I'm Lucas, he whispered, his hands jittery. I worked in IT at Bram. What do you want, Marithel tried, Clarissa asked, her voice steady despite the growing unease. I saw what you found, Lucas said, glancing around nervously. They're watching you. They'll do whatever it takes to bury this. Clarissa leaned in. Why are you telling me this? Because I couldn't save my sister, Lucas said, his voice breaking. Angelica, she's gone. I can't live with myself if I let them get away with it. Clarissa's heart sank. Lucas's tears mirrored her own. Together, they would get justice for Angelica and all the victims. The following week, things escalated. Clarissa returned home one evening to find her apartment ransacked. Her heart stopped when she saw a photo of her children, Caleb and Simone, taped to her bathroom mirror with a red X drawn across their faces. They were coming for her family. Terror weighed on her, but so did the need to keep fighting. She couldn't go to the police. They were already compromised. Instead, Clarissa and Caleb devised a plan. They would leak the files to the media, ensuring the truth reached the public before Bram could bury it. On the morning of the leak, Clarissa sat at her small kitchen table, staring at a photo of her family. The thought of her late husband gave her strength. She slipped the flash drive into an envelope, along with a handwritten note to the New York Times. This is the truth they don't want you to see. Use it wisely. The storm broke within 48 hours. The story exploded across national headlines. Bram Enterprises was exposed for its corruption and trafficking ring. News outlets across the country picked up the story. The FBI stormed the offices of Bram, arresting key players, and Nathan Graham was extradited back to the US to face charges. So Clarissa finally felt like she could breathe, but it was bittersweet. Angelica's face haunted her. as did the faces of all the victims, drugged and exhausted from her several times every day. Months later, Clarissa visited Lucas, Angelica's brother. Together, they created a foundation in Angelica's name to support victims of trafficking. It was a small step, but it felt like a start. A year later, Clarissa stood on a stage in Washington, D.C., receiving an award for her bravery. Caleb and Simone sat in the front row, beaming with pride. "I didn't ask for this fight," Clarissa said into the microphone, her voice steady but strong. "But sometimes the fight finds you, and when it does, you have to decide who you are." The crowd erupted in applause, and as Clarissa looked out, she saw a young girl in the back row, her face bruised but her spirit unbroken. For the first time in a long time, Clarissa felt peace. While I prepare this delicious Korean street food, I wanted to share a real-life story with you that someone shared with me. Life can throw tough challenges our way, and sometimes the hardest decisions come from those we trust the most. But just like Clarissa in her story, the most important thing is to stay strong, make the best choices you can, and keep moving forward. What do you think about Clarissa's journey? How would you have handled the situation? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's get back to the food. I hope you enjoy watching how this Korean dish comes together as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more delicious recipes and real-life stories.